I thought tonight we could talk about the backward step. This is, the term comes out of Zen, and what we can notice about the human body is that it's sort of directed forward. You know, our eyes are pointed in that direction, our toes are pointed in that direction, and you know, that's much admired, you know, to go forth into the world, make your way, you know, be outgoing, you know, seek one's fortune in the world in whatever way we choose to do that, which is all fine, all good. And we can spend a great deal of time and energy doing that and learn something from it and participate in life. All beautiful, no problem. But what we might find along the way, that all of these movements to discover happiness in things that we acquire might be satisfying for some period of time, but they will never be ultimately satisfying in an abiding kind of way. When we reach, if we do, when we reach some desired place in our life, we often find out that that sense of fulfillment doesn't last as long as we like, or be quite as grand as we hoped it would be, or we don't reach that goal at all. But anyway, this sense of moving out in the world is sort of much admired in this culture. And it can take our energy for a long time, for most people a whole lifetime, of this acquiring kind of energy to acquire wealth, success, respect, a community of friendships, you know, many things that are totally enjoyable, but not ultimately satisfying. So at some point in life, we might decide, well, spirituality is the ticket. You know, I'm going to look there. But what we discover is that we might take this same attitude of sort of moving forward, acquiring things, looking for things outside of ourselves. We may take that same mindset into spirituality. So now we're no longer looking for success or wealth or relationships necessarily. Now we're looking for enlightenment. We're looking for perpetual bliss. You know, we're no longer seduced by worldly interests now. We have much grander goals. But the same mentality, the same belief in that there is something that exists outside of what I am that will satisfy some deep yearning. So there can be that same movement outward, in a forward direction. I'm looking for something. It's not present now, of course, but in the future, if I play my cards right and work at it hard enough, there's a hope that in the future, that yearning will be fulfilled. And then we might discover that those fruits of the hoped for enlightenment, spiritual awakening, are not so readily forthcoming. And so we might decide, well, I guess what I need to do is meditate more, just try harder, maybe give up some of my indulgences, maybe sort of clean up my habits a bit, you know, that maybe change my diet, change my clothing, you know, travel to foreign lands, you know, something, you know, to sort of fulfill the prerequisites for spiritual awakening. But we can notice that all of those are still outwardly seeking, right? I have to do something. I have to learn something. I have to have a particular experience that someone else or some other location or some new theology will give me. That'll do the trick. But we're still moving outward. We're still looking, even though we're talking about spirituality now, we're still looking outward. And in spirituality, things that worked in the everyday workaday world are almost upside down and backwards from what works in spirituality. So as we continue this investigation of believing that, we just need to work at it harder, find the right theology, the right guru, the right teaching, the right experience, the right meditative technique. And so we go, can spend years chasing down those roads as well. And one of the things that we can discover when we sit down to meditate very quickly is that there's a world of inner psychology to sort of wade through and try to figure out, and past traumas to address. And, that can occupy a great deal of time and attention, thinking that all of that has to be resolved. But again, we're dealing with memory, thoughts, all of which are appearing within this field of awareness and therefore still on the outside. I'm not saying that none of that has usefulness. Sometimes it does. If the conditioning or trauma is heavy enough, it has a gravitational pull to keep us tied to this world of form until we see through it to at least some degree, to be able to free ourselves to look at something more deeply. So it does have value. It just won't in itself get us there. So we're still looking outward, still trying to move forward, still trying to improve, still trying to be worthy, right? Still trying to earn our right to have grace shine our way. Anybody ever do that? Move in that direction? So we still haven't taken the backward step. We're still looking outward, still moving forward. And until we take the backward step, we haven't actually entered the fruitful arena for awakening. So at some point we might become curious, shockingly so because we can't quite believe that we've never asked this question before. But the question may occur to us. I've been seeking for years, meditating my heart out, reading, going to retreats, listening to people on Zoom talks, and yet there's still not any kind of abiding breakthrough. But the question might arise at some point, I wonder who it is that's doing all the seeking. Up to this point, the focus has been on what we're seeking: next experience, idea, theology, altered state, metaphysical construct. But then the question arises, I wonder who it is that's doing all this seeking. If I don't know what that is, why am I doing what I'm doing? For whose benefit am I doing it? What do I think I'll gain from it? Do I know? Do I know what this enlightenment is? How do I know that I'll even like enlightenment if I ever get there? And the answers to these questions are, I don't know. Yes. And where does that leave us? You know, all of these perhaps years of seeking, experiences, ideas, all this types of spiritual descriptions and suggestions and practices, and yet we come back to this question, I don't know who it is that's doing all of this. And if I don't know that, where does that leave me? So as confounding and as confusing as that might be, it's actually exactly what takes us to this backward step. Stepping back from appearances, everything that we were chasing on the outside, it takes us back to that, what we've always referred to as me or I. It takes us back to that, to the direct investigation of what that is. And the usual answer is, I don't know. I know my story. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know what I can do and what I'm not so good at and what I fear and what I hope for. I know all that. I just don't know what I am. And so this is the backward step, coming back to the most fundamental question in our existence. What is it? What is it? What is living this life? Right? And we've all heard the directive. Ramana certainly made it famous, but it's been around for a long time, and a lot of teachers use it. Just this inquiry about asking, who am I? What am I? And to point to the non-conceptual answer to that. And I'd suggest that we get the right answer every time we look. Because what we do is ask, okay, who am I? Nothing, right? we don't get anything. And that is the answer. What confuses us is that we think there should be something there, my higher self, for example, my true nature, my soul, something, anything, but not. It's this quiet, empty, alive space. So we instantly dismiss it and think we got the wrong answer, and so we ask the question again, who am I? I want to know, what am I? Nothing. We get the right answer again, dismissed it again. And how many times do we do that? Before we recognize, no, that actually is the answer. There is not a personal self there, as surprising as that is. What we find instead is just this empty, awake, spacious presence. That's what we find. Within which there's memory, of course. There's thought, of course. There's sensations, perceptions. All of that's happening. But what it's happening to is just this spacious, formless, awake beingness. That's it. That's actually the whole of it. The recognition of what we truly are as our essential being that is already fully present. And we miss it because we presume it must be something outside of ourselves. must be in the next experience, next idea, next guru's glance, the next cosmic experience, whatever. No, it's whatever is already present here that has the capacity to knowingly experience all of that. That is our essential beingness. And we miss it because it's ever present, not because it's far away. We miss it because it is what's already living this life, already living your life. We just presume that it's a personal me. We've never actually found that personal me. We just assume that it's there. We refer to it, 500 times a day. I did this, I know that, I think this. But when we go looking for it, what we don't ever find is a personal me. What we find is this awake, spacious presence. Simple. So this is the backward step, stepping back to what we already and forever are. What's been doing the looking all of this time, we've been seeking, but we've been looking out our eyes towards something distant from us. And so we forget what is actually looking, what's actually knowingly present for whatever experience may happen, and looking for the answer in the very transient experiences that may be happening. So this is the backward step, coming back and back and back, and seeing that everything that appears is an appearance within awareness. And that awareness that is already present fully has always been there. That's when the awakeness dawns at some point. It's, of course, a wonderful relief, probably very blissful, and also slightly embarrassing that we missed it for so long.